In modern world, wars are usually fought between the armies of nation-states. However, this situation may have become exceptional during the Russia-Ukraine war. Hello, the viewers of The Pioneer. I hope you're healthy and well. Today, I will share with you an interesting developments in the Russia-Ukrainian war. As you know, since the beginning of the war, a large number of Russian citizens have left the Russian Federation. Many of them emigrated to other countries, but it was not only Russian citizens who left Russia. Russian soldiers were also fleeing from the Russian army. A large part of them were also surrendering to the Ukrainian army. In recent days, there has been a development that it is even more interesting than these developments. Russian sources are under the influence of these developments. Ukrainian sources recently shared a very critical information with the public. As you know, there are groups of the Russian citizens fighting for Ukraine. These are the Free Russian Legion and the Russian volunteer groups. Although these groups fight for the Ukrainian army, they have no official connection with the Ukrainian army. However, there is a new group whose name you will hear for the first time: Siberian Battalion. So who is the Siberian Battalion and why did it worry Russian sources so much? Let's analyze the latest developments together. Before moving on to the latest developments about the Siberian Battalion, I would like to make a smaller reminder. As The Pioneer, we continue to convey the Russia-Ukraine war to you. You can like our video to support me and my team, and you can comment to reach more people. I also read all your comments. Please continue to comment. Let's start if you're ready. The Pioneer reports. Recently, the information of the Siberian Battalion was announced by the sources connected to the Ukrainian army. As we mentioned at the beginning of our report, wars in the modern world are fought by the nation-states. In other words, armies are usually composed of one nation. In the Russian-Ukrainian war, this situation has largely disappeared. As you know, the Free Russian Legion and the Russian volunteer corps are fighting for the Ukrainian army. However, these two units have no official connections with the Ukrainian army. They are essentially independent structures formed by the opponent of Putin and the Putin regime. Previously, these two units carried out cross-border operations against the Russian Federation, and as a result of these operations, there were active days in the Belgrade Oblast of the Russian army. In fact, since the Russian border guards could not cope with these two units, troops consisting of Chechens were dispatched to the region. In recent days, a battalion was officially established within the Ukrainian army. The battalion consists of entirely Russian citizens. Here is the details that draws attention. The battalion officially serves within the Ukrainian armed forces. The statements on the subject were made by Andrei Yuzov, representative of the main intelligence directorate GUR of the Ministry of the Defense of Ukraine. In his statements to Ukrainian media organizations, Yuzov made the following statements about the Siberian Battalion. We can confirm the information on the creation of the Siberian Battalion, opening the ranks of the International Legion of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. All the members of the Siberian Battalion have signed military contracts and successfully completed through trainings. They were also given special army call signs to protect their identity. Ukraine will continue to increase the number of such units made up of the other people of the Russian Federation and expressing their desire to defend Ukraine on the one hand and to protect their people and their small homeland from the Russian imperial operations on the other hand. A major scandal have erupted in Russia since the incident occurred. The Russian sources were furious with Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation. Moreover, the statements made by some soldiers from the Siberian Battalion about their motivation to fight with Russia caused the anger towards Putin to increase even more. Russian sources publicized an interview with the soldiers serving in the Siberian Battalion. In this interview, the soldiers made the following statements. I don't want to be part of those horrible crimes committed by my country within its borders, and what is even more horrible, I don't want to be part of the Russian armed forces, the mass firepower that is now destroying thousands of Ukrainians without mercy to women, children, old people. I want this to end, so I joined the Siberian Battalion and I will continue to stand against them until the aggression against my country ends. As it can be understood from these statements, Russian citizens have a great anger against the government of the Russian Federation. This anger causes Russian citizens to go to war against Russia. When we evaluate it from this point of view, the fact that Russian citizens fight against Russia can be considered as a sign of the beginning of the solution in the Russian Federation. The striking point here is the origin of the soldiers forming the battalion. Some of the soldiers are Russian, captured by the Ukrainian army during the war. However, the majority of this battalion consists of Russian citizens who fled from Russia and wanted to join the Ukrainian army. Minorities such as Yakuts and Buryats of the Russian Federation also serve in the Siberian battalion established within the Ukrainian army. We can say that this situation will pose a bigger problem for the Russian Federation in the coming days because, according to rumors, the number of Russian people coming from Russia and joining the Siberian battalion is increasing day by day. Under these circumstances, Russia will take greater measures to prevent its citizens from joining the Ukrainian army. However, these measures may also cause the Russian army to face bigger problems. Possible rebellions that may arise inside may increase. While all this is happening, the Russian army continues to face great losses. Recently, the Asgard group serving in the Ukrainian army shared a video with the public. The video showed the moment when the Russian armored battleship was destroyed. You also know from our map reports the Russian army is conducting a large-scale attacks on the Donetsk front line. However, the effects of these attacks are quite low, because the Ukrainian army is organizing attacks especially against the main firepower of the Russian army. In this way, the advances of the Russian army is stopped. Recently, the Asgard battalion in the Ukrainian army destroyed a Russian tank. The Asgard group carried out a very successful shot against the Russian T-90 tank. According to this shot, an unmanned aerial vehicle belonging to the Ukrainian army arrived in the region. Meanwhile, the Russian T-90 tank was on fire. The unmanned aerial vehicle also dropped the ammunition it carried out on the Russian T-90 tank. In this way, the tank was blown up with a great noise. The T-90 is one of the Russia's most modern main battle tanks, and the T-90M model is promoted as one of the country's most advanced in-service tanks. From this point of view, we can understand how effective the attacks of the Asgard group of the Ukrainian army was. In the statement made by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, the following statements were used about these attacks in question. The Asgard Group is responsible for the attacks on the T-90 tank. Asgard Group is an elite unmanned aerial vehicle team. In the 18-month-long war, it is among many Ukrainian units that utilized various unmanned aerial vehicles to gain the upper hand. What do you think? How do you think the creation of the Siberian battalion will affect the war in the region? How do you expect more Russian citizens to join the Siberian battalion? How do you assess the reactions of the Russian sources to Putin? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.